Let us quickly look at a past question and build up a point and track some issues as we look at the objectives of tax audit. Objectives of tax audit actually is what we want to discuss, but it is important to buttress some things that we've been doing. As we can see on the display now, 2014 November Diet exams question, advanced taxation, which actually has a lot to do with tax audit and investigation that we've been doing series on. Now, we will build some points so that we will understand that number one, taxation, many people misconceive it to be all about calculation, though it has major calculation. But theories are actually important because if we look at this question now, we will see that out of 30, 30 marks, out of 30 marks, can we see out of 30 marks now, we have 4, we have 2, we have 6 marks that are allotted that are based on theoretical. They are theoretical. And you see, because they are theoretical, if we don't know it, how are we going to pass it? Having said that, what predisposes them to tax investigation was this: the company did not file. Don't forget, we've done a lot of series that will let us know how tax authorities select taxpayer for tax audit. So that's number one, as we can see. So this series, you can look it up, selection of tax. We've dealt with it much there. So these are the things that predisposes them for tax selection. Also now, the tax monitoring section of the Federal Inland Revenue or relevant tax authority visited the company and found out that the company was not tax compliant. Today we actually want to look at the objective of tax audit, and one of the important lesson and objective of tax audit is that to ensure tax compliance to all applicable legislation. Tax compliance, so they are not complying, so it predisposes them again to be selected. And also, though this question borders more on the selection and tax query and the like, but also, like in this series now, stages in tax audit processes, as they've been selected now, these stages must be passed through completely for them to secure everything and restore everything back to normalcy before government. Having established that, we want to point your attention to some other things. The part A of the question now is this. It said, explain the penalty in respect of late submission of the annual return, blah blah blah. Now it has changed. Penalty has changed. Unlike before, there are new rates now. This is not the focus of this video now, but just to let us know that even the answers, for those of us that are reading past question for tax examination purposes, we need to be very careful to ensure that we read latest information and watch tutorials like GJAMES Associate channel that we give latest. If not, you will follow this answer now, it will be wrong. Not that it was wrong before, but because the tax environment is always dynamic, tax penalty has changed. And the B part too now, we are going to give us a bit of details, but because it's not the objective of this video, we don't want it to be too long, but must call your attention to the part B now is compute the total profit and tax liability. Here too, for all these calculation that they gave us now, all this calculation that they gave us now, to compute now, computation of tax liability too has changed. The rate has changed, unlike before that you can easily use flat rates 30% in our country. You can't do that. It has changed. You first of all, now if you want to answer this question, if this question should come out now in next diet November 2022 upward, you need first of all to answer this question, to ask yourself, is the boko, that's the hypothetical name of this question now, is the boko now a small, a medium, or large enterprise? If you are not sure, if you can't deduce it from the revenue and the like, if you can't deduce it, you will not be able to compute correctly. The C part now also explain the condition that must be met before a company can be exempted from minimum tax. Now this is another minimum tax question, and you know what, minimum tax now equally has changed. Unlike before that you will need to use like 0.5%, now is 0.25% that you will use. What are we saying in summary? What we are saying in summary is this, that everything has changed and you need to be careful in the resources that you use to prepare for your exams. So we advise you look this up, which we've dealt with, so that we know why the Boko was actually selected more, and if a question asks such, you will be able to give them elaborate answer. Also the processes now, the stages, that having known them and having queried them and visited the Boko, how they are going to resolve it, the stages is going to pass through. We've discussed it here too. So let's go to the subject of the day, which is the objective of audits, tax audit in taxation. My name is Benga Olatunji FCA, and the channel is GJAMES Associates. We would love that you subscribe as we go on into the details of our discussion today. So it's all about the objective of tax audit. Primarily, as we've said before, the one of the critical purposes of tax audit and income audit is to ensure compliance with all applicable tax legislations, to ensure that organizations actually comply with all relevant laws, submissions, filings, various forms of taxes and the like, and types of taxes. That is one primary objective of tax audit. Also, that the tax computations filed, tax returns, tax returns rather filed, are accurate and have underlying records, that they are not just abstracts. They don't just, taxpayers don't just come and file anything. So whether desk audit or field audit, the objective of the types of any tax audit is equally to ensure that the underlying records are well kept, and tax computation and liability and the payable or the paid amount of taxes actually agreed with the underlying records. And also the third objective of tax audit is to ensure adequate accounting records are kept, books are kept, and they exist for the purpose of determining taxable profit or loss, as the case may be, per the taxpayer, and consequently the tax payable being determined. So we want to ensure that the books exist, the record exists, computation were well done and supported with evidence, and also all applicable tax laws have been met. The first critical three have been mentioned. We are going to mention more. Other objectives of tax audit also is to ensure encouragement of voluntary compliance by self-assessed taxpayers and the like. So everybody can pay their taxes as they believe, but tax audit is going to follow it up to ensure that it is adequate. Also, to forestall taxable persons rendering incomplete or inaccurate returns, like the debacle now that they've not been filing. So to forestall taxpayers not rendering at all or rendering incomplete tax payments, so tax audits need to be conducted. You know, they used to say that people don't do what is expected, but people do what is inspected. So tax audit is, we go out to inspect so that people can do what is expected. Also, to identify cases involving tax fraud, tax avoidance, tax evasion, as the case may be, and recommend them for investigation. Don't forget, we've made a video on types of tax audits. So one is desk, the other is field, and at the end of the day, we can be recommended for investigation after audit has been carried out. Investigation is an extensive, more elaborate form of tax audit. Also, another objective which is important, tax audit objective, is equally to identify and to detect and correct accounting arithmetic error in tax return that has been filed. Also, to provide feedback to the management on various provisions of the law and recommend possible changes, like a lot of changes that we've mentioned. There have been changes in the penalty rates, there have been changes in computation of tax liability. Now, whether you are small, medium, or large enterprise, will affect the tax rate you are going to pay and the like. Minimum tax equally has changed, and it has reduced from 0.5 to 0.25% now. So to ensure that taxpayers are educated to go round, and the department needs to go round to discourage tax evasion. We can't say it's enough. People will do what is inspected, not what is expected. So when tax auditors go out, then it will discourage evasion. Also, for provision of an avenue to educate everybody, even those that are within the tax net and those that are yet to be, on various provisions of tax law. And you know, ignorance of law is not an excuse in the law. So these are the objectives of tax audit, tax investigation, which can come out in our examination, just like it has been in 2014 November diet that we just show us. From GJAMES Associate Channel, next we'll be looking at the functions of intelligence units within the relevant tax authority. Every tax authority will have intelligence unit, just like every arm of government, like the army, we have intelligence units. Every country we have intelligence units. So likewise, relevant tax authority has intelligence, other relevant intelligence information and classified information regarding taxpayers and tax activity going on within their jurisdiction. So join us as we look at functions of intelligence unit. We've been able to establish one thing, that passing tax exams is not only about the computation. Even the theoretical aspects are quite important for us to study and know. And you know what, we can easily score cheap marks, like in the question that we just look at. The question we can easily, let me quickly go there. This question, we can easily score the 6 marks within, if we know the answer very well, within 3 minutes we can score the 6 marks and have other time allotted to the computation. And don't forget that those computation actually now they have updated tax laws that we need to know. From GJAMES Associate China, Benga Olatunji SCA has been speaking. We have value to life. We have value to your businesses. Next will be functions of intelligence. I hope you've subscribed.